Welcome everyone. I'm going to try to explain mutations to you using these Rexes in preparation for a boss fight. So step one, tame a bunch of Rexes. These are all wild, straight tamed, anywhere from level 130 to 150 in the wild. First thing you're going to do is check all their stats. You're going to go through each one of these Rexes, and you're going to log the stats in a database, Excel sheet, a piece of paper, a napkin, it doesn't matter. Just keep a record of their stats. For the purposes of this video, we are just going to deal with health, stamina, weight, and melee. For a boss fight, you should probably only really have to worry about health and melee because you will more than likely be riding on a Uranus. Okay, your next step. You're going to want to name these dinos based off the highest stat that they have. And make sure it's logged in your spreadsheet. Now, you have a trade-off here. You can either keep taming wild dinos to get higher stats, like say you wanted to have higher health, like 10,000 plus health, or you can breed the mutations in. Either way, we're good. We have two females here, one male. We are going to breed all of these together until we have a breeding pair, a male and a female, that have the highest stats that we have logged. So we're just going to continue to breed, pick up the eggs, continuously hatch them until I wouldn't wait. Don't gather up 100 eggs and then do it all at once. This, on official servers, this takes a lot of time. So you're going to want to hatch the eggs, and as soon as you get one and mature it, let's say you have one that has the weight and the melee, then you're going to want to substitute. Hopefully it's a female. Substitute it in. Bring it up, raise it, and then you can start breeding and getting more dinos and increase your chances. So in the end, you want a male and a female pair that have the highest stats possible in the categories you're aiming for. And again, if we're doing boss fights on the island, and you're doing Rexes for that, you will more than likely be riding a Uranus, and the only stats you really need to care about are melee and health. Okay, now we have a male and a female pair that have the highest stats of what we were looking for. So health, melee, stamina, and weight. All their stats match what we were striving for earlier. You're going to breed these two together until you wind up with a whole bunch of females. Now, you can do whatever you want with all the extras. For me, personally, I delivered them all over to a sanctuary on the other side of the island, as I stated earlier. This was already here when I got here. I don't know where any of this came from. But next is the fun part. This is where you're going to take this male, and he gets to smash all of these females. And you're going to do that repeatedly until you get one with a mutation in the stats that you want. Once you have the whole pack breeding, you can set this up however you want. This is just an example. On official, you're not going to want to just have one batch of these going, especially if you're in a really large tribe. You're probably going to want more than one male, and you're going to take up a lot of landscape, a lot of real estate in order to do a breeding operation, especially with official rates, because it takes forever. So you're going to collect all the eggs up, and you're going to bring them to somewhere else completely different than where you're at. I've already kind of whittled these down so you can see it. But once these hatch, you're going to be looking for a 252 on the level. That will signify that you have a mutation. Now they all start running, and as you can see here, we don't have one. Looking around, we have no 252s. So, what do? The reason why they're running, by the way, is because I have a dead body back here. So, since there's no 252s, do what you want, but the best way to do it, and to level up your dinosaurs, is to just get rid of them. Kill them all. There's no reason to keep them around. You need the meat anyway. If you can get past the glitchiness of being able to harvest bodies that has come with this new game, or this new version of Ark, then you'll be alright. But go ahead, kill everything, clear it out, and keep going until you get a 252. Okay, once you have a 252, as you can see here, you need to get it away from the group. So we got lucky there, we were able to imprint. It is a male, and then you look at the stats. Health matches the original. Melee, we have our mutation in melee. So If you wanted to keep, I personally prefer to do my mutations in health first, because if you're doing boss dinos, there's a process you have to do. You know, they want to level them up. You can do mutations all the way until they're able to fight the bosses, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. I personally like to get the mutations in health so that I don't have to level up health at all. Because once you level up health, these dudes take a lot before they're fully healed. And since we're only on the island in Survival Ascended, we don't have snow owls. You could use a Datodon, but personally, I prefer to just get the mutations in health. But for the purposes of this video, again, our original melee stat was 469. As you see here, this melee here is 483. If you go to Ancestors, you will see here that he has one mutation. And we know what it is because we know what the stats are. So, melee. We got 2 points in melee. That gives us 483%. So what do we do now? Well, it's time to plug this guy into the mix and remove him. You can keep him going if you want, but you already have the mutation. And if you're unofficial, it takes a long time for these breeding counters to count down so that the females are able to breed again. So, disable mating, remove him from the group, and again, there's no cryopods. So whatever system you have set up to do your breeding, you're going to want to make sure that the male is able to be removed and put back in easily. Personally, I like to keep these, but since there is no dino storage right now, any dinos that you have out, you need to make sure they're fed, and you need to make sure they're protected. Keep that in mind. So this one, we are going to name him M1. Boy, M1. That shows me that I have one mutation in melee. And then we are going to update our spreadsheet or napkin or paper just like this. And then moving forward, you're going to continue to breed him until you see another mutation, which the next level would be 254. Okay, we got M1 in the pack now. He's pumping out babies. We have a handful of eggs we're going to hatch right now, and M1 was a 252. So if there is a mutation on one of these, we are looking for a 254. So once these hatch, we're going to do the same thing. Look for 254. Another way to tell if there's a mutation is look for colors. That is also very handy. Here they go. 254. We have one right there. Granted, it's very tricky to get to the one you want. Here we go. And you're looking at the stats that mutated. So you have health 9680, did not mutate. Stamina 2394, it did not mutate. And we have weight 940. That's what we got our mutation in. So we have one mutation in weight. If we wanted to use the weight mutation, we would keep this and name this guy M1W1. Granted, that is my preference. Y'all can do whatever you want. We do have another 254 in here, so we're going to get him out of there. Go ahead and punch these dudes. That should get them running. Where are you? 254. Did I lose them? I'm looking at the numbers. Make sure you have plenty of space when you do this, by the way. Okay, I don't really care if he follows me. I prefer to do this in an enclosed area. That way, when they run off like this, they don't get too far. So, this one. We got a 9680, 2394 in stamina, melee force 483, and weight 940. So, it's another weight mutation. I did not see any others. And that is fine. Okay, so we're going to keep on trying until we get another one. We finally have a 254. Look at this handsome fella. His mutation is in health. So the main stat before, the base stat, was 9,680.2. We are now at 10,120.2. So we're going to update that in our spreadsheet. And we're going to name this fella, actually, double check, because he could have got a double mutation. Want to make sure his melee damage is also the mutated stat too. All right, since it is, we're going to rename this one H1 M1. And this just allows us to track which ones have the current state of mutations. And of course, we're going to enter this into the spreadsheet and plug this one in, remove him, do whatever you want with it, and that'll be it. And you're going to keep this going and going and going as long as you want. Now, 2 things to note. When you go to the ancestors, you have your mutations here. Once you... Sorry, let me go back in here. You have 2 out of 20 and 0 out of 20. As long as one of these is under 20, doesn't matter which one, you can get a mutation. Now, once one of them is full, which you're going to have all the mutations pretty much over here on the patrilineal side, even if the... You'll start seeing like one mutation on your matrilineal side, but then it's always in the father. So yeah, anyway. The most you're ever going to see on matrilineal, if you do it this way, is 1 mutation, maybe 2 if you get a double. But keep breeding, or keep the mutations in the males, and leave the females as your base stats. And just keep plugging them in, keep breeding. Keep in mind the server cap. You're going to want to keep an eye on that. I'm not sure what it is with Ark Survival Ascended. But there is more in-depth ways to make super dinos. That's where you take level 5 wild Rexes, tame as many as you can, and you're looking for, I want to say, 1. I think it's 1 stat of oxygen. So the lowest oxygen, the lowest food, and I think there's a hidden stat for speed as well, which you can use tools like Dodo Dex and punch those stats in to see what those numbers actually are. And it'll tell you what's wasted in speed. But you can lower the oxygen stats, the food stats, and the speed stats, even the weight, whatever you want, to make it so that you get more mutations in health and melee, which is really what matters when it comes to boss dinos. But that's going to do it. That covers the basics and should get you guys well on the way to having a nice squad of boss dinos. I hope you enjoyed.